Okay. There we go. He sent the message, but so anyway, thank you so much, Elizabeth and Jane. It's really an honor to be here with you both.
Sorry, guys, my technical skills are really,
It's all
remedial.
good.
I'm working on it. Okay, so
It's all good. It's perfect. But yes, thank you for the beautiful introduction. And yes, the founder of the Blue Heart Animal Sanctuary here in Western North Carolina. And in 2017, my life took a new trajectory when I fell and broke my wrist, and I healed it in a week. And I was told that this was more than a place of healing for animals. It was a place of healing for people as well. But I wouldn't be able to hold that space for others until I did my own healing. And so we know what that's all about. So yes, I used to call it the dark night of my soul, but now I kind of reflect more. It was just like the death of my ego. And, I really love that I'm able to hold that space for others. So I have been putting a lot of energy and attention to creating this beautiful space, heaven on earth, honoring our earth, and allowing people the opportunity to come and experience that love, that energy. And the beautiful thing is, like, all the love that's gone into these animals that I've rescued over the years, now they're holding that space for others, for people to come and be able to experience their unconditional love. And, really by just stepping foot on this land is so healing. But the addition, the amplification with the energies of the animals is phenomenal. So I'm so grateful.
And I'm glad you said that, because I don't think people realize how much animals hold frequency. And they also absorb a lot of our negativity. That's why we're all, surrounding. I think a lot of starseeds, have their best buddies are their animals. But thank you. And I also want to hear more, because since you told me that last week, I've been thinking so much about healing your wrist in 1 week. I mean, wow, amazing. That you use the higher ascension mechanics in practice in your life. So that's so important. And Jane, welcome. Welcome again. Welcome back. One of our favorite. Gosh, you're like our top billing, guests. You just speak to our tribe. It's the Wise Women tribe. So welcome back. How are things in Costa Rica? Just please, briefly, that and whatever you want to share about Mother Earth Day.
Well, Costa Rica was lovely, of course. I was with my family, and there's nothing more beautiful than having a vacation with your family. But they were also there looking at property so that we could possibly live there. And I've lived in Minnesota for about 20 years now and experienced these deathly winters. And having grown up in South Africa, you can imagine what a shock it was to my system. And I feel like it's poetic justice that I return to the tropics as I become an older person. But as far as Mother Earth goes, and you notice the mainstream media calls it Earth Day.
Yes, exactly.
It's Mother Earth Day. It's definitely our mother.
We're setting that new encryption, that new identity. We really need to start saying Mother Earth Day.
Absolutely, because she's the one who she provides everything for us. She should be in abundance, but she's had to kind of recoil and lick her wounds and try to heal herself for so long, because basically, let's face it, she's been raped. And she's overcoming her own dark night of the soul and her own trauma. And what we fail to realize as humans, we are her children, and we're intrinsically connected to her, and we ascend together. And this is what's going to be the beautiful thing that's going to happen. But before we do that, there's certain things that we have to take care of within ourselves, like fundamentals and practical actions toward creating this new earth. And I can go into that a little bit more. I feel like I'm speaking for too long.
No, you're not. But what we're going to do, okay, this is a 2-part series for our listeners. And this is going to be the celebration of Mother Earth. And we're going to talk kind of about her journey in a minute and her decision to ascend. That's a beautiful story. And then the second part, we're going to talk about what we can do, because we are the change and, be the change. So we're going to do that in the second part, which will air next week, okay, for our listeners. So, but good job. You made some wonderful points. So, what I would like to talk about right now is this beautiful story of our mother, the heroine. Set the stage. I mean, it's like the hero's journey, the heroine's journey. If you ever saw one, because I'm going to start, and then Amma, I'll let you kind of kick in because you have studied more colonic science and the true history perhaps than I have. Although I've been doing it for 10 years now, but I'll just set the stage as the actress that I am. The show is this beautiful, beautiful, pristine planet, in the higher harmonic universes, where Krystic beings lived in honoring the one. And this was a time when, whether you call them grandmothers or goddesses, especially the divine feminine, had our earth in the palm of our hand. And when I went to Malta, I had the visions of that. And it was through our toning and through our beautiful movements that we would maintain that beautiful balance of unity consciousness, and everything was aligned with the Krystala Spiral of LIFE. And I found on the temples there were carved in all the limestones these beautiful spirals. And I'm wearing flowers today because over here in this part we would wear flowers, and when I'm in your side of the world I wear feathers, because this was our way of expressing ourselves. And we communed and we communicated, and Mother Earth was not an it was a who. It was a consciousness, and it was not the trees and the animals. Animals, we think of them as things, but the trees were our friends. Were beings, and the elements were things that we, and I don't want to say command, because we communed, and we would ask, okay, we need some rain, would you please? Well, no, I don't feel like doing it today. I mean, it was a relationship. Or if there was storms, we could, the fire, we would talk to the fire devas, which I do sometimes, because the hills around me blaze up in flames every August. So, we have to remember that. And then there came, a very dark time, when we were ripped from our position in the cosmos through a black hole, or, many people argue through the sun, black hole, and this, whatever, but through a black hole into a fallen universe, not our proper place. And our mother was splattered to pieces, fragmented pieces. And she went through so much. I mean, just now everyone thinks it's bad with the chemtrails and with the 5G radiation, and that's bad, but she's been through worse. She's been through worse. And I think she just recently, and Amma can tell me the day, I think it was 2017 or something, just very recently decided not to return. Everything returns to God's source, but not to return as space does. And she's now beginning her ascension and coming back. So, Amma, can you expand on that, or just add anything if you want to, or talk about something else if you want?
Well, I think more and more people are waking up and having the awareness, like we, discussed earlier, that we are powerful creators. And so, this co-creative dance that we're doing with Mother Earth, I think that, more and more people are kind of like getting into it now, and things are shifting. The frequencies of this planet it's rising. And so as we continue to put into the collective grid, this love, this remembrance, this wisdom, this peace, that is just going to continue to amplify and ripple out.
And one of the things that we need to realize is that our body and the mother, as Jane said, are so deeply connected. And what we put in the grids, because we've been sacrificed and spilt our blood and created loosh and damaged, polluted the grids. And now they're coming back. And as we cleanse ourselves, we're cleansing our mother.
Absolutely.
So, and Jane, you never talk too much. Okay.
Okay.
And, I'd love to hear your take on, you just have such you're so attuned into the eternal mother energy. And I feel like the eternal mother kind of coming back is being embodied in us and in the female, well, and male too, and the divine feminine and our Mother Earth. Do you?
Well, the problem is that we've never had the nurturing mother archetype upheld to a degree that we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost in all the religions, and there's never been a mother icon to look up to. So it fell into place that the Mother Earth herself was disregarded, because maybe a few indigenous tribes here and there held the mother in high esteem. But other than that, and all of those indigenous tribes were destroyed by probably mostly the Roman Catholic Church, that pretended to have this Christ consciousness, but never ever did. They were always worshippers of Lucifer, and they hid behind and stole a lot of the rituals of these wonderful people that were true Christian Christ consciousness beings, like the Cathars. And they stole their rituals and they stole everything from them. And obviously, we remember they burned all the witches, and they burned many, many Cathars, male or female. It didn't matter, because as long as the feminine was being upheld, that was their greatest nightmare, because they knew they would never be able to operate and take over the world and have wars if the mother was in charge, because she would never approve of any of this behavior, killing your own children. And so it's been going on for so long now, people almost think it's normal to just have a Father and a Son and a Holy Ghost and carry on that way and praise Jesus alone. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but let's go with the consciousness of the marriage of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And once we have that harmony with the male and female species, because that's the greatest division that they ever created. Once we actually have that harmony, we can experience what is called unity consciousness. And once we have unity consciousness, there's not going to be any stopping us.
May I? I think it's interesting as well that we have both aspects within. And so, yes, it's about balancing on the external, but also the masculine and feminine within.
Right. And this masochistic view of men that they've been pushing for so long, where men are just horrified at the thought of embracing any feminine-like aspects of themselves. And they've pushed it so far away from themselves, it's so hard for them to return. I have friends who say that we will never be able to retrieve that respect for the mother, the nurturing mother archetype, because we've been so brainwashed. It'll never, ever be able to happen. And they say that it's going to require ascension for it to happen. But I have other people who say, no, when we reach that harmonic balance between the masculine and feminine and we're harmonized, then we will ascend. So I'd love to know the answer to that question. Which one is it?
You're asking me? It's one and the same. I mean, it's one and the same. How can you divide? The problem is our minds, we want to separate things out. And first of all, there's no time. Okay. And I'm going to bring this to a real level. It's all your holographic template. It's just a projection. Okay. And she reminded me of the ascension mechanics this week, and I've been really gorgeous on that. But, it does bring you back into perspective, because we are creating, it's just like a big screen all around you, and you are creating it. Okay. And that's why I really want to put to rest some things right now, because I think we really have to correct them. Okay. So we have been programmed, especially with this, and it might have come because our mother was tired and kind of had given up. All right. But if you look at Hollywood, and I spent a lot of time in Hollywood. We had Jane Whiter on here, and there was a guy at this transformational entertainment convention that Eckhart Tolle and James Carey had started, and it was talking about shifting Hollywood, because if you look at all the movies back, especially in the 70s and 80s and 90s, it was like third act, boom, Earth explodes, third act, get off Earth, our mother, just give it up, forget it, get out of here, and, there's been all these messages to just forget mother, forget our mother. And it's preemptive programming. I mean, Elon Musk is now, trying to get us to Mars, and even God bless him, he's so programmed, but Star Trek, Captain Kirk, who's always been used to make people think space is where it's at. He went to space and he came back and said, there's nothing more beautiful than this little planet, and he said it was terrifying. He was so glad to be back home. So, we've had that in our minds. Star seeds, look to the stars. We've got to get up top. Beam me up, Scotty. The aliens are going to come and take us away. And that's really running rampant in the I want to call it the pop ascension communities. We had the new age that got kind of co-opted. So we have to really realize it's all, and also there's this idea of escape Earth, evacuate, gate out. And I really just in internal, which I always say, go to infinite source within, says, it's all happening here. It's inwardly ascending. So yes, there are many different Earths. There's Eartha, there's Gaia, there's Aurora Earth, there's Medium Earth, there's Net Earth, there's, Tara, but those are all fragments. And as we reclaim our wholeness, we become holy. And just as we have fragmented identities, like alternate identities, we're all those identities are coming back for clearing and healing, because we've been traumatized, so we forgot them. That's what mind control is about. They separate you from yourself. It's likewise for our Mother Earth, because we're one and the same. These are just alternate identities. Some are very fallen shadows, the net Earth or whatever you want to call it, and then some, like Eartha might still maintain the divine blueprint, that's in Andromeda, we'll say. So these are all coming back together, and we are coming back together with her. But again, it's always a choice which spiral you want to connect with, because there are those who are still going to stay on the Fibonacci, and they're in these smart cities, and they're like Dubai or something, and they're so disconnected from our mother that they're busy into this cyber world. They're buying real estate in cyberspace. I'm not kidding. There are people buying art in real estate, in cyberspace. And then there are us, and those who are listening to my voice, and those who we're all awakening and being called together. We're all one. I think we're probably all just one massive consciousness being. We just set up fragments of ourselves down here. Put that here in your pipe and think about it. To lay the foundation. We're laying the foundation, and we're supposed to be creating these communities, almost like what I call Melchizedek cloisters. Again, but in a new way, to hold the frequency and maintain the consciousness, the thought form, to create. As creator gods and goddesses, create the new Earth, because where I am here, I'm beyond 5D. I mean, I'm in the higher dimensions, and I'm sure you are, because you're working that energy, you're shielding, you're bringing those frequencies down, and that's the job at hand. You can't separate yourself from Mother Earth, because we're one. Long answer, sorry. Hope that helped. Comments? Disagreement?
I'd love to hear Alma talk a little bit about her relationship with the animals and how that's connected to the earth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, so I started out as an animal. Well, I'll back up. As a child, I was like an animal magnet. And so I had all this love in my heart, but I had a lot of trauma. And so, as we already discussed, the healing that animals, the space that animals are able to hold. And so I started the animal sanctuary down in Florida, actually, as an animal cruelty investigator. So I was, working with animals that had experienced the epitome of trauma, and to really hold that space and witness their transformation. It's just been remarkable. Now, coming here, it's just taken everything to a whole new level, because this land in particular, it's on the very similar ley line. I'm originally from Sarasota, Florida, and that is, the Stargate number 2, the Grual, is 49 nautical miles out off the coast of Sarasota. I grew up on those beaches. Interestingly enough, here I've been led to this place, which is on a very similar, like the same ley line as Sarasota going up through Asheville. So it's just interesting that, you know, when you come into the understanding of the way that the planetary grids are and everything, you know, it's at any moment, like, what are you contributing to the collective grid is kind of like what's coming to my understanding. And so when I go out and I'm loving on the animals and I invite people to come, and people come and have these immersive retreats with, you know, on this land, loving on the animals, all that energy, all that love is going into the collective grid, and it's amplifying and it's going out. And so it is interconnected, because we are, you know, as Elizabeth said, we are one with our Mother Earth and with everything.
How powerful is that? We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. This is getting interesting.
For more empowering words from Elizabeth Monroy and Dr. Peter Monroy, check out their latest book, The Infinite Human, an ascension guide for starseeds, twin souls, and awakening infinite humans. The co-creators of the new Infinite 5D Earth. You'll also find many spiritual books to help both children and adults in their ascension back to home, to infinite God Source. Isn't it time to be part of the new consciousness renaissance? If this resonates with you, please subscribe to our website at infinitehuman.com and become part of our growing Infinite Human family.
Welcome back to the Infinite Human Talk Show with your host, Elizabeth Monroy. Do you have a question or comment for Elizabeth or her guests? Please call us at 888-346-9141. That's 888-346-9141. You can also text or email your questions and comments to infinitehumanproductions@gmail.com. Now, back to the show.
And welcome back. This is Elizabeth Monroy. I'm your host of the Infinite Human Talk Show. And we're here with Amma Soul, who's an amazing soul, and Jane Everson. Okay. And we're having some pretty profound conversations today on this beautiful Mother Earth Day, celebrating and giving gratitude for our mother who provides everything for us. And we've been talking about the true history of her and how, you know, she fell and the tough times she's had on her heroine's journey, and her decision to ascend, and how we are now ascending with her. And I just want to kind of, one of the things I'd like to discuss now, if you guys are up for it, is, you know, ascension, what it really means. Okay. I always say inward ascension, and what this means with the planet, you know, and Amma was just talking about how powerful we are, because we are one and we are affecting the grid system, the template of our planet. And I think that's probably the biggest lie that's been told, the biggest, you know, hidden truth from us, because they don't want us to know how we actually affect our planet and how our genetic programs, okay, which is, you know, our DNA is basically the programs that we've been given, the divine programs. And those programs are so intricately connected to our mother that tribes, Krystic tribes, would, you know, live in certain areas where their genetic structure could actually open the stargates, these portals to the higher dimensions, through their genetic imprint. So, you know, just like in the movie, they didn't have to really dial it and get the symbols right. They held the symbols. And this just shows how we are one with our mother, and that what we do affects her template, her ley lines. And that's why in the ancient times, the indigenous people, you know, many of them today still, you know, they say hiya, hiya, but that's actually ancient Anahase, which is, you know, toning that is sending these very positive, uplifting energy to maintain that unity and that integrity and that divine Krystala spiral of life, and keep our earth, our mother, a living entity that she is. Whereas the death cult would, and I saw in Malta, they took these beautiful resonating chambers that held this high frequencies, and they threw bodies down in them. They called them burial chambers, or they go to these sacred sites that we have all over the planet, especially like in England, and they create their satanic rituals. So that is creating blood sacrifices. Here around the corner where I live, it's Mosia, and they would sacrifice their firstborn child to Baal. And we went there and we cleaned up the grid. So it's very much a needed job to clean the grids, clean your inner self. So Jane, you want to talk about that? Because we just heard.
Yeah, well, I did want to say that is the mother goddess that they worshipped, was the dark goddess. That's who they replaced the nurturing mother archetype with, was the dark goddess who would sacrifice her firstborn child to Moloch. That's the only women they ever embraced. But I think we have to start by explaining that our Mother Earth is a regenerative force, and the invaders that came in and took over is degenerative force. So if you're always wondering, why does everything go wrong, and how come we never get ahead, and how come I feel so beat up and there's no way out? Well, you're just lucky you're still walking around, because the projects that they've put out there that are so highly financed by our money, our taxpayer money, and our work and our creativity. Like, for instance, let's go to that indigo chemtrail project that they had. It was to kill the indigos. That was the very first chemtrail project. And it was specifically aimed at destroying our angelic genetics so that we wouldn't be able to survive this. But guess what? We have. And that's a testimony to absolutely how powerful we really are. Even though we've been mixed up in these draconian bloodlines, Anunnaki bloodlines, and reptilian bloodlines, we still happen to have remained and held on to the essence, and we remember our original divine blueprint. And that is coming to the fore right now. And that's why people like you and I are emerging now, and we suddenly have a place and a space to speak and talk about the nurturing mother archetype, not just as some woo-woo idea, but as an actual element of our survival as the angelic human race. And when we go and hug a tree now, we know that, they made us laugh at ourselves, and they poo-pooed us, and they said, you're just a stupid tree hugger. No, it's been proven when you go out and you hug that tree, it's connected all throughout with the roots underground and the mycelium of the mushrooms with it. And it's all connected. And it's like actually hugging a person. And we've grown up now, and we realize that everything around us has consciousness. And if we're going to be one and create this unity consciousness, we have to realize that everything has consciousness and we're connected to it. And then we get bigger and bigger and bigger. We get so big that we make these horrible little creatures that want to control us just so tiny that they just have to run away and hide somewhere. And then we get our earth back. We grow the beautiful gardens. We create the beautiful places without the codes and the rules and all of these things they put on us to stop our creativity from flowing. We realize that our creation currency is the most valuable thing on planet Earth, far more than any gold or platinum. And we start putting it to work, and we throw all the rules out and throw all the authorities out, and we say, this is the world we want, and it's time, and we are creating it now. Just like Amma's creating her Blue Heart Sanctuary place.
Thank you.
Well said. Beautiful, beautiful. Amma, you want to add to that? Or so well said. It was like,
it was just beautiful. Thank you so much. Yes, I resonate so deeply, and it's just it's just so encouraging to connect with others who have this similar understanding and awareness. And so much of it is like, where are we giving our energy and attention? Do we want to continue to fight the old and keep fueling that, or do we want to say, okay, like you said, I'm not going to give my energy to you. I'm not going to continue to focus on this. And you're going to continue to shrink like right on out of my existence, because now I'm going to focus on building the new. And that's where we're going for sure.
Definitely. And I just want everyone to hear, okay, really hear that it's a done deal. Okay. We, with the meek, the gentle hearted have inherited. It's a done deal. This eclipse was just like the final, symbol of the dark, emerging, the light emerging from the dark, I mean, it's a done deal. The energy. And that's another thing they don't want us to know is we're all energy. Everything is energetic first in consciousness. And the consciousness is there that this shift has happened. It really has. And I think most people can feel it. I know I was in bed almost all weekend just because the waves of such immense energy in my body. I was like, oh God, can I take my body with me, please? Thank you. And I'm here. I wasn't sure, but yeah. So, and we have a body. We're all here. If you have a body, you have something to do. Okay, you're somebody. You have a body. So we're going to talk about that. But I just want to spend in this time for you to really understand that, and also it's not a really division thing. It's really free will, honoring people's free will. People can choose the Fibonacci, the death cult. They can choose to, put all their energy on on artificial things, and that's their right. They have that right. But the thing is, prime creation is no longer there. In the architecture is that we were really in a tough spot where we were closed off, and the Fibonacci was such a prevalent part of our reality. It actually shaped our mother's architecture. The nautilus shells, everything was conforming to this false blueprint. So we were encapsulated in the matrix. That's the matrix we're talking about, and that is dissolving now. The two timelines have separated, and anyone that plants their seeds, that pays their attention, that puts their energy onto this prime creation, as David Icke said it. I loved our talk because he was talking about it's assimilation. Well, yeah, it's all a hologram, but it depends on which one you want to be part of. The artificial one that's not in alignment with infinite source, the true creation, the prime creation. And people will continue that because it's familiar, because they're afraid, because whatever reason they have, and they have a right to. But I think it's going to lose power because nothing's feeding it anymore. There's nothing for them to feed on because they have to feed on our energy, and those structures are no longer in place. The loosh beastie machines are not able to in fact, even the royal family we heard is no more. I mean, they're just propping up their power with it's just like the Wizard of Oz, pay no attention to that man. They're trying their best to hold on to their power, but it's just smoke and mirrors. And that's why I say get small, go inward. And if you want to get out of the rat race, stop racing. People are like, oh, but I can't have to make enough money to be able to retire to an island. That's a control program, guys. The money god is all a control mechanism to keep you in this rat race. They call it the rat race. You're the rat. So stop and start thinking about what you want to create. And as long and it bio-cync to Mother Earth. It needs to be. If your dreams, if your dreams are, I want a high-rise condo in Dubai. Okay, that might not come about so easily. But if you are thinking of something you want to do that is in harmony with Mother and the animals and everything, that is going to have prime creation behind it. The seeds of change will take root. There's a place to plant it. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, because if you're connected to Earth, you're connected to the cosmos. If you're connected to the wisdom of the cosmos, you're connected to the universe, and the universe will take care of you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. What say you, Mama?
Well, just an invitation to consider that, for people who are living in cities, we're being bombarded by discordant frequencies, Wi-Fi, 5G, all this stuff. And to be able to take a step out of that and get into nature, even if you can't come to a place like this, go to your park, take your shoes off, step barefooted upon the earth, connect with the frequencies of organic creation. That is going to like allow you to dismantle the AI that has been infiltrated. You know, we're giving our consciousness into these little AI devices, and it's like, you know, take a moment, take an hour, you know, 20 minutes if you can't do that, you know, to just go stand and be in organic creation and feel the shift in your body, because that pressure of those subtle energies, you know, if you're not sensitive to that, we're all being affected by it, whether you feel it or not. I know that I can transmute it, but you know, I'm able to come back here. If I wasn't able to come here, I would find a place where I could go and be in nature, because nature is healing, and to bring us back into that connectedness with our mother. You know, that's going to allow for us to have the clarity to be able to, you know, shift our focus of what we find, you know, of value and importance.
It's crucial. What you just said is so crucial. And that's the last chapter in my book, you know, Co-Creating the New Earth Together. And I think there's going to be a time, which is now, that we really need to, and you just, I'm at to the point where, you know, I think of traveling, and then I'm like, I can't, because I have to stay here, because this house is so, I worked it so much that when I leave it, my template, you know, gets bombarded. I can do it, but you know, it's like I come back home and it's like it takes me a few days to recalibrate, you know. And it's almost like, I don't know if anyone's ever seen the movie Shangri-La, the original one with Frank Capra. I love movies, so you know, it was about, there was like a woman there that, you know, she's just, they all look like they're 20 or 33, you know. And then they said, how old are you? And she was like, you know, 189, and she wanted to leave, and she left, you know. And they said, well, you can't leave, and she did. And you know, what happened was they were carrying her, you know, out, because through all the, you know, mountains of snow, and they looked at her face, and it was like all wrinkled up, and you know, and I think these New Earth communities are for people that really want to be on the New Earth now, so to speak. They want to be in, I know 5D is the popular thing, but it's even much beyond that. You know, you call it 5D Earth, but it's beyond 3D. It's in the higher dimensions, in harmony with all this beautiful plasma energy that's bathing us every day, to be able to get it. And as we come together, we're also holding frequencies. So these chemtrails and all these things will not, I mean, I've just noticed it for myself, you know, they won't be able to hold, you know, as much. So I think that's the first step. Not that we're leaving people, and some people may be called to stay. I'm not judging, you know, because everyone has a soul mission, a very unique story. But especially in the US, you know, it's getting, even if you can survive, it's just, you're surviving, you're not thriving, because the chance to thrive now is here. There are places of vortexes of energy where you just can really, by bioregenesis, you can go turn the clock backwards. You can be what you're supposed to be, 33, you know, whatever you choose. I tell people I'm always 33. I'll tell you when I'm born, you know, but I'm not going to, I never say how the age I am, because I love the years I have. In Italy, in Italian, we say I have, we don't say I am, because I earned them, but that's important. So what say you, Jane?
Well, everything you say is true. I think we have the cosmos and the heavens on our side. The shifting of the stars astronomically and astrologically, it's our turn to thrive. And the perpetrators of our earth are not spiritually connected to any of that. And even though they know what's going on, they've always used what's called super AI. And super AI is a force that goes around the universe, invading biological organic entities and taking them over. And I think they've met their match with our beautiful organic earth, because we're not going to let them take it. They can't have it. They've been introducing AI on such higher and higher levels recently, in order for us to give up and give over our beautiful creativity. And our creativity is absolutely aligned with Prime Creator Source. So what we're doing when we do that, when we say, oh, I'm going to use AI for this, or I'm going to use AI for that. Yes, you can use it for good purposes, but try to stay away from it, because what it's doing is, their goal is for us to get to the point of being post-human, where they can control us externally by remote control through all these injections and things they've been putting in us. So we have to step away from all the pharmaceutical, everything's synthetic, sin. That's where sin is. It's in the synthetic. And do nothing that aids their agenda. And we've been giving all of our creativity over to their agenda. So now we turn around away from that and we look at exactly where we want our beautiful creative agenda to go. And that is toward this new earth that we're building and the absolute reverence for life and species and seeds and growth and abundance. And everything that we were told on this side was destruction and scarcity and poverty and suffering. And we know now that the heavens above are with us, and we're shifting into that, but we've all got to move together. Everyone's got to get on board. If you know that you're doing something that's pro that destruction agenda on some level, withdraw your energy from it and turn around and go and find something where you know that it's positive and it is for our Mother Earth to thrive and survive. Because when Mother Earth thrives and survives, then we do too.
Yes. Fantastic. Amazing. Wow. So beautiful. Yeah, okay. Do you want to add something or to say, bring it in a new direction? Because we're at about 10 more minutes, and then we'll the next week we will talk about what we can do. All right. So maybe some closing comments on, bridging us over to that.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
I am, but it's a choice. We're all given a choice, and and like you shared earlier, not everyone's going to choose this path, and that's okay. But to be able to hold this space for others, to be this shining light, to be the remembrance.
Yes.
Because I think so many of us are just walking around with blinders on, not ever fully present. And I think for so many, because of the densities of this planet and the trauma that we've experienced, is to, distract ourselves and to dissociate. And so if you're willing to go through those uncomfortable moments, I promise you on the other side is so beautiful.
And I think it's going to get more uncomfortable if you try to stay in it, because there's not the energy behind it like there was before. And I also want to say, a lot of people think, awareness or ascension or whatever enlightenment is, just these powerful, maybe aliens coming down and, telling you something, or, this burning bush, but it's really just a shift in perspective. And let's say someone's sitting there looking at their black mirror, and then just and I've done that. Okay, I'm right there, because I use the sacred. I try to make it a sacred cyberspace. But right now we're not all telepathizing. But I will continue to telepathize with you after this broadcast. I always do. But we need to kind of hear it in our heads sometimes. But you take that black mirror, you set it down, and you look at this beautiful tree. I didn't even know I had a lemon tree behind me. I have a lemon tree, and I started apologizing to her. First of all, she was really mad because everyone that visited me when I had my accident, I couldn't walk around, was taking her lemons without even asking or saying thank you, So we need to just start talking to this consciousness and realize this is not consciousness, our black mirrors, but everything around us is conscious, and it's wanting to communicate with us. And it's been very patient, kind of waiting, like, are these humans ever going to get it? So I think that's the first step.
Well, I disagree. I disagree about are these humans ever going to get it? Because if Mother Earth herself is familiar with all of our history until she came into being, she will know how she was invaded, because she was raped on the same degree that humanity was. She will know all the stories that we were told as lies to make us and mold us. It was almost like a parallel invasion with you, sickness and pain and sorrow poured upon us as humans through wars. She experienced all of that with us. And she had to recover too, just as we have to turn around and look back. And we saw how women were brought into wars to help fight wars. Women were out killing their own species through, posters and propaganda methods. When in the world does a species kill its own species? That's a really bad sickness. And Mother Earth would never kill her own species. So she's been watching us all the way through. And now she's so happy that we are coming around. She's going to be laughing her head off with us when all these people wearing these robes and things are standing there naked and we can see right through them. And then she will herself will have been the old Earth, and we are helping her transition into the new Earth.
Yes. Well, we're one. We're one. But the people, I'm just saying what the trees told me. The trees are angry. Okay, I'm sorry. Just don't kill the messenger. They'll tell me, these humans, they're not getting it. I'm right here. I'm not a thing. I'm a it. And when I came to Casa de Mare de Golfo, my best friends were the trees. I would sit in them, and I would talk to them because they were the most interesting folks to talk to.
But I think it was the non-human entities that were destroying the trees because they don't have souls, so they can't feel it. They're not connected to the trees.
But I just think we need to change our relationship because, people, we need to ask, can I, Mother, may I? Mm-hmm. Mother, may I? That's so powerful. Mother Earth, may I? Where do you want me to put my home? I did that when I was looking at property in Yucatan. We still have to buy it because we don't want to give a person an excuse to take it away from us. But, we should say, how can I serve you? Where do you want the people to come? Where do you want to keep to yourself? What plans do you want here? It's just that kind of attitude. Okay, we got 1 minute, but don't worry. We'll be right back next week on the show. So again, thank you, Amma, Soul, and Jane Evershed. Thank you so much. And please tune in next week because we're going to continue this and bring it down to day-to-day practices. How can you get yourself out of the whole death spiral onto the life spiral, into the artificial AI, and into infinite intelligence. And just to let you know, also my audiobook's out finally. So it's available on my website and also Audible. And everyone's been asking for it. So there it is. So you don't even have to read. You can just listen. All right. So thank you so much again to my guests. And we'll all be back. The Triple Goddess will be back next week to talk about this in more detail. Ciao for now.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Infinite Human Talk Show with your host, Elizabeth Monroy. We hope today's episode has inspired you to join the new consciousness renaissance and be the change by reclaiming your true divine infinite nature within and becoming an infinite human and a co-creator of the new infinite earth. Tune in next week for another empowering episode. Until then, have an infinite week.
All right.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. And for our listening audience, we're still live, but we're going to take just a real short break, just a little potty break if you want to take it, just like 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll be right back. How you doing, Alma? Good?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Good job. Really like it. Okay, and if you guys who are listening, sorry about the first part of the show. I didn't record it, but we got to record it in the studio. And if you have any comments or questions, I'm trying to look at the Facebook, but sometimes there's a little problems there. Just got a minute here while Jane gets back in. Let's see here. Okay. Okay.
Hi.
Hey, how are you? Good. Everyone okay? Feeling good? Temperature check. Good. You feeling okay, Jane?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
So this is going to be the second part, and whatever you want to say, okay, it's good. And if we have different perspectives, that's great. That's wonderful. I love that. So
Okay, good. I'm glad you like different perspectives.
I
Elizabeth.
do. I love it because, God, if we're all agreeing we're a cult, that's what a cult is. Yes, we all agree this is what we should. And we're not telling people what to do. We never tell people what to do. We're just expressing what we're doing and what works and what we're sensing, so giving people.
Well, I don't want to tell people what to do, but I can describe some fundamentals and practical actions that can be taken toward creating the new earth. Shall I do that then? Just a few pointers.
Yes, of course, we'd all love to hear that. So, but we're not, wait a minute, we got to start. I have to, this is a show.
It's all a show.
That's what I love about it. Give me Human Talk show. It's all a show. We're all stories in the mind of God. That's my first chapter. Okay, are you guys ready to start?
Yes.
Okay, we're good. What we can do, what grounding it, being the change, Okay, so all right. Hello, my divine, infinite human beings. You're all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. And last week we celebrated Mother Earth Day, and we had Alma Soul and Jane Evershed, who is back with us this week. Some amazing souls that, Jane Evershed is a visionary artist that always sees the positive, optimal future for our planet. So she's going to talk this week a little bit about things we can do to take back to our Mother Earth into our bosom, into our heart, to assist her in her ascension. And Alma Soul has a beautiful sacred center in the Blue Ridge Mountains. What's the name of your center again?
Well, my animal sanctuary is Blue Heart Sanctuary, and the wellness and retreat center is called Soul Gaia.
Okay, so and she's doing it. So we're going to just hear, again, only take what resonates, and we never tell you what to do. But these, I have been hearing you both telepathically and messages, and many people voice their opinion like, oh, I wish I could get out of here. I'm dying in this place. The water's this, the food's this, and it is, and I'm not there anymore. I'm out of it, and most of us are doing that. But we just want to kind of give you some inspiration, some creativity ideas, kind of tweak you as a catalyst to really take access the highest level of yourself during this time, and to remember that you are a creator god and goddess. You have the ability to manifest your optimal reality, and when you do that, you are helping the collective. You are helping the whole holographic morphogenic blueprint of our mother, just by being the true you, the authentic you, and doing what you came here to do, which I believe is your soul mission. And I always say we're divine pieces of a puzzle, and as we come together, we lay this beautiful foundation for the new earth. So today, last week we celebrated Mother Earth. This week we're going to talk about what can we do to actually be the change and make a difference, and start living our ultimate future. Okay, so Jane had some really good foundation ideas, and I'd love to hear about those from her.
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth, and it's wonderful to be here. And I just want to briefly touch on the fundamentals and practical actions that you can take toward creating the new earth, because this is where we are now. We've left the old world behind and we're going to the new earth. And I believe that these pointers include every scenario, every possible scenario of anyone's existence in life. So the number one aspect to confront is really the mind washing that's been going on in our heads. And we believe that our salvation or our redemption is through constructs of things like organized religion and education. And none of the answers come from there, because they have all been manipulated to place a barrier between you and Prime Creator Source, so that you'll forget who you really are. So the number one thing is to find out who you really are. So the second thing to think about too is to acknowledge that your creative prowess is linked to the original codes of creation and Creator Source. And this is true whether you believe in God or not. You know, you may have given up and said there is no God, it's just a mess down here, you know, that kind of thing. And the third thing you have to do is to reignite your genius level creative abilities that you were born with. We never get told that we were born creative geniuses, and we all are, absolutely. And if you're using any of your creative juices right now, then you can currently upgrade them. Because once you've merged these creative abilities that everyone is born with on a genius level, when you merge that with critical thinking and an open mind and an open heart, you can then apply this to whatever you are drawn to magnetically. And the magnetic part is huge here, because, you know, you may have a love for animals like Amma does, or you may have a love for helping older people, or whatever it is. It doesn't even matter. That's your passion. That's what you love. But meanwhile, no, you drop everything and you go off to work to earn a living, to pay your rent. And there's a way that the universe will always support you if you're following your passion and you're connected to the wisdom of the cosmos. And it's when you're actually doing this work that is your life's purpose that your mind is opened up to the wisdom of the cosmos, and the universe assists you in what you're doing. So when you practice these aspects of existence, you'll find out who you really are and your purpose, instead of doing something that you know you don't want to do, and you keep putting it off, and you keep saying, well, you know, in 2026 I'm going to leave this job and I'm going to go over here and start this. Start doing it now, even if you have no money, because the universe finds incredible ways to support you that you think you've been told that you need rent and you need this and you need that. If you're going to, and it doesn't matter. The universe is so malleable and creative. It works with you when you follow your passion, and you become able to discern what you can prioritize in your life to be of service to the whole without doing any harm. And that is the key to moving forward for everyone, I think.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Just, I love that. I love it. Wow. So, yeah, on the same page. I just love the synchronicity of us three and this trifold of divine feminine. Amma, do you want to add to that or something, or you have something to contribute with that?
No, I think that's so beautiful and so eloquently stated. So thank you so much, Jane. Yeah, beautiful.
Well, I'll just add with that, because you're just talking my language. It's like so glad to hear finally someone else is saying that, because I started doing, God, oh man, it was like, back in the, I think many of us have felt like we're the only light, in the lighthouse, in the darkness. And I felt really guided to do what I call soul mission readings. And that's all I wanted to do, really. And I kind of got a formula from my ex spiritual teacher who did something really beautiful. And then I started doing it with people, and it goes back to when they're children and what they love to do, the play that they love to do. And then also with their parents, because we choose our parents for, because they all got into, my mother was an alcoholic. And it's like, no, we're not. What did she do? What was her hobby? And unfortunately, there was so much miasma. A lot of people didn't get to have their hobbies. But, a lot of mothers love to cook and they love to plant. And, these little simple things we don't realize. We chose our parents for these things. These are the symbols that we gave ourselves to remind us why we're here. Everyone that is like listening to my voice, everyone that's awakening now, we carry a certain very high genetic encryption. We're the Aquinas, the Aquafarians who are really the age of Aquarius, okay, is not because of the zodiac sign, it's because this other time matrix of highly evolved souls, and many of us are them. We just are waking up to it. And some of you are just waking up now, which is why I'm doing this talk show, because a lot of you have been hidden in and out of time, because if you woke up too early, you would be so attacked. But now it's safe to come out. I feel like Glinda. Come out, wherever you are. It's okay. You can come out now. But I used to do this soul reading because I would tell people, and I got some young people who I saved them years and expense of universities. I said, you're doing that to please your parents, or you're doing that, And when you find that passion and that innocence as a little child, what you used to do and spend hours. Now me, of course, I would make up stories with anything, spices, candles, holiday candles, because I'm a writer. That's what I do. I write books, I write stories, and that's part of it. And my parents were psychotherapists. So of course I use story to help heal people and all that kind of stuff. So it's all in your childhood, and you've given yourself these signs. But the thing is, people think, yeah, I'd love to do that, but how am I going to pay the bills? That's what that curse, the money curse.
Well, maybe Amma can tell us how she did it as an example.
Amma did it.
I did it. Well, I had a pretty conventional life before I had my awakening, my quickening, I call it. And so I was simultaneously navigating through the dissolving of my marriage, which blindsided me, and simultaneously having these conscious expansion experiences that you can't put human words to. You can't describe this self. And I continually came back to this place of surrender and trust. And so early on, when I started to remember the trauma that I experienced as a child that I just so deeply suppressed, it was made apparent to me that I cannot control anything that has to do with the past. My power is in this present moment. And so being able to, shift and release that and forgive. I mean, for me, it's always come back to unconditional love and forgiveness, for my former husband, for the beings that, I was abducted throughout my childhood. I had a lot of horrific experiences, but in this now moment, my choice is to, embody love, to be a greater example of what it can look like, if we can, release all the miasms and distortions and clear our template. I've been doing a lot of work on ascension mechanics, and I can definitely discern a difference. But that's a choice in every moment. If I want to get up and hit the ground running and go, do, then I'm going to be spun out. If I can stop in this day and go and sit upon the earth and do my meditation and do my activations and connect in with the earth and give gratitude, thanks and gratitude, I ask, just allow me to be a conduit through, for your love, that everyone who comes into my experience feels this love. And, it's not been easy, for sure, but it's been my choice. When my husband left, I could have gone down a completely other path, but I knew I was here for a greater mission. And, like I said, I surrendered and trusted in that. And I think, the bottom line is, it kind of comes down to we're programmed in this place of fear. So I often ask people, what would you do? What's your passion? What would you do if you didn't have to trade time for money? And, so sadly, some people don't even, they're not even connected. They don't even know. And I think a lot of that is like, if they're sitting there at night, they go and they do their job and they come in, they sit home and they do their doom scroll, or they're watching their TV, then of course they're not going to be connected into that. But because that's all a way of distracting you from what your true divine innate purpose is, to like this gift to the world. So yeah, that's why I really love to be able to hold this space, to invite people to come, to take a step away from the chaos and the turmoil of the world. No, you're not going to get Wi-Fi here. That's the point. Come and sit and be in nature and connect in with your innate self and remember the truth of who you are.
Beautiful, beautiful. I just want to interject that because I think this is so crucial. It's that fear, pushing beyond that fear, because you really, it takes courage, because it's a hero's journey and you have to step into that unknown. And, I get messages all the time. Oh, Elizabeth, how did you do this? You live in such a beautiful place, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'll just briefly, I knew something was coming in 2019, and I had a film school in Florence, Italy, and I just closed it. I said, I can't do this anymore, because I had like satanic directors who were like taking my students in the wrong direction. And it was like, no, something's got to change. I'm only going to work with people who are on this other timeline. And I even did a video about it. And I wasn't paying rent. Now, thank God in Italy, you get a little bit of time, but I was being evicted from my apartment. I just had enough money to get food. I didn't have anyone I could call. I didn't have a mom or a dad. I mean, my mother was in, dementia. My brother, God love him. I love my brother. He cut me off completely, and I'm glad he did, because he really made me, like, I have to take care of myself. And I didn't know. I knew I had to leave. I always work with signs and symbols. So, when I say signs and symbols, it means that everybody I met was either from Sicily or going to Sicily. I was in Florence at the time. So, they're talking, here, try this Sicilian, whatever wine. I mean, that's the sign and symbol. It's like so much in your face, you can't like not. And so I said, okay, I'll go to Sicily. Fine. Where? And then I found this place, and that I wrote about it in the book based on Peter, my twin soul, Peter Pan. And that's a whole story there about him as a Cuban refugee. But I had no money whatsoever. I said, I'll go, but how am I going to buy my ticket? I mean, I have no money. I have just enough to eat, maybe. And a credit card came, which never comes. They don't send credit cards outside of the country anymore, and probably because of me. And I mean, I have no respect for the bankster system. I mean, I've given so much money. So it's a $5,000 on this credit card. So I bought a ticket, and I got like money back because I used the credit card the first time, and all this. And it got me to Sicily with Kiki, a plane. It rented a car. And then I got here, and I couldn't pay rent. I ran out of money, but but anyway, to make a long story short, like, I had to get a car, and I got a car for like one of the best cars I ever had for like $500, and money just appeared in my account. I don't even know how. I mean, it came from Airbnb for something that I don't know why it was something they probably should have paid me like 5 years ago, but they said, oh, here's some money. I'm like, okay, it's just enough money to buy the car. And then I found this villa, which I rent for $450 a month. I mean, I'm just saying that in practical terms for Americans, because Americans are some of the wealthiest people on the planet, but their money's just out. They don't own anything. And if you're going to buy something, you should own Mother Earth as a guardian. Okay. So we're going to talk about that next, but please don't. If you got the will, infinite source, you can do anything through infinite source. That's my point. So,
well, a starting point, a really practical starting point for that is if you're just creating in any way, whether it's singing or most ideally creating art, you get to a point in that art when you're creating where you're so focused, your mind is open to the universe, and that's when your information comes in. So whatever you do, create something. If you're looking for your neurons to be fired up, if you realize you've been in this dead stream of life for so long that all your creative neurons have all dried up and you just can't think of anything to do, start doing art or singing or dancing or something, because anything that you do that's creative will connect you to source, because source is prime creation.
Yes, and I believe in meditation very much. I get to the point, if I meditate, I actually am a living meditation, and I'm a writer, so I get a lot of my information through writing, I just have to do. I usually don't have a choice anymore. It's gotten to the point where someone will actually like get in front of my face and say, "You need to go here." They'll reach in or through a bum on the street. They'll stand up, and say, "Oh God, I swear to God." Once I was sitting in a place in California having something to eat in Redondo Beach, and this man walks in, blows in, stormy weather, which never happens, and he's drunk, and he looks around and he looks at me at the bar. He goes, "You have no father. You have no husband. You have no son. You belong to no man." And everyone's looking at me and I'm looking around, and then he walks back out. And I'm like, "Okay, I got it. Thank you. I'm free." Okay. But I those things happen to me. I don't know if they happen to you, but you will find a way to tell yourself something, sometimes very dramatically, because it's you talking to you, and you're telling yourself. So what is the trust, the faith? It's faith in you. You have to believe you can do whatever you imagine. And I believe in vision boards. I believe in painting, writing out what you want to manifest. And we talked about, since the eclipse, this is a time to really start focusing on what you want. And gosh, what would be more beautiful than, having some property, like where you are the guardian of this property, and it's your world, it's your space, and you are there, creating as an artist, or, working. I mean, I think most people that are encrypted like we are to be the change have this desperate longing for nature right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know I did. It's what moved me out of Florence. I would just walk every day to the dog park and talk to the trees, and I just craved it. I would have two choices. I could walk into the city, it's a beautiful city, or walk out to nature. And I just have, every time, my body is choosing nature. So if you're listening, I think that's something, if you're feeling that, it's real. A simple life, simplicity is the key to freedom right now. It really is.
Right. Right. I mean, trees and streams and things like that, that's all the negative ions that helps to, neutralize the positive ions. People sleep in grounding mats and different things like that. But there's nothing more pure than going and standing out on barefooted on the earth, or leaning up against a tree, hugging a tree, or sitting next to a stream, because, those positive ions, you think that would be a good thing, but it's actually not. It's disruptive to our bodies. Go out into organic creation and feel the difference.
And I think another thing that unity consciousness requires is the fact that we completely do away with our egos, which is a big challenge for a lot of people. So if you are in that place where you're transitioning away from this menial job that promotes the agenda of the invaders of this earth in some way, and you want to pull out of it, you have to realize that this is going to be a transition, and that you will live through it, and that you will get to the other side, and you may have a dark night of the soul moment. And all of these things are going to happen until you get there to the other side. Mm-hmm. So be prepared for that. You're going to be put through the washing machine and the rinser in order to live your dreams. Maybe not for everybody, but a lot of people, they do. Like I know you said, Amma, you went through that dark night of the soul to get to where you were. And here you are. I don't know what you were actually doing before you envisioned the blue heart sanctuary and soul Gaia. Did you write that down somewhere? Were you sitting over here dreaming about it? And then how many years passed and there you were walking on your land with your dream? I'd love to that.
It's interesting because I've been here since 2006, but prior to my, epiphany, my awakening, I wasn't really connected to the land. I was never fully present. I didn't appreciate, I wasn't connected to the consciousness of the mosses and the flowers and the streams and the trees. It's just like, this is my land, this is what I'm doing, the animal sanctuary here. But, now it's like, I see God, I see the divine expressed in everyone and everything. So I'm constantly in this place of just like awe and appreciation. I have this childlike wonder of like, oh my gosh, like this is phenomenal. I can sit down and, next to a stream and spend an hour, where before, I never took time, I had a to-do list. I would cross everything off my to-do list. I was focused on what was I going to do next. I'm doing one thing, I'm thinking about the 15 other things that I have to do. And now it's just like, oh my gosh, it's like, I have so much gratitude. And it's been an evolution, because in the beginning, I needed to go through my own healing journey. I couldn't hold space for anybody else. I was a mess, So now it's just like, oh, wow. And it's constantly, in this place of evolution. Because I think I get to this point of where like, oh, I'm feeling good, I'm clear. And then, something else will come into my field, layers and layers and layers, clearing these miasms and distortions, doing this shadow work to really fully embody our true divine nature.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Well,
The work never ends, and we really should never stop learning. You'll notice that many people who retire, they just go to pieces because they've just been doing the rote work for so long, and then they retire, and that means they're not working anymore, and they stop learning, and then they simply just die.
Well, I really want to send a strong message, since this is Voice America, to especially Americans, because Americans are such, I got in trouble for this. I think I had my Facebook terminated because I said they're brilliant stupidity because Americans are very intelligent on the whole, and they're brilliant in their minds. But it's a process of what happened was, they disconnected completely in genocide all the indigenous peoples, and pretty much just rolled over this fake world over the ancient burial mounds where you have the sacred, where you are, Cherokee, all these Krystic tribes, the Hopi, the Seminole, who carried this ancient wisdom, so it was just kind of it was created by a corporation, and it really is kind of a Truman Show, the whole American culture, where money is the god, and everyone, there's only one real culture because everyone comes from all over the world, and they come for money. The poor people they want to get a green card so they can get money. They don't realize they might make 100,000, but you spend 99,000 just living. And I was trying to explain that to people that wanted to get here, but as opposed to say Sicily, like Americans, they have a lot of things. I know. I'm an American, I had a lot of things when I was there, but you own nothing. You have mortgages because it's smart to leverage your house, your car payments, or you lease a car because of the tax breaks, and you get a lot of food, huge plates of food, and and lots of things in your attic and basement, but it's just cheap stuff, Whereas when I came here, it was hard too, because I even hung out with Americans all the time. It wasn't until I came here in 5 years, I wasn't around Americans for 5 years, and people here, I thought they were so poor, because they have houses that are kind of with not perfectly like Truman Show, and they go out in the fields and they pick things like, oh my God, they gave me these. Like, it looked like weeds, like, take this home and cook it. I'm like, wow, what the hell is it? I didn't know there wasn't right away, but they own their land, they own their homes, and they don't pay taxes if it's yours, and the food, it grows around. I used to drive the car out and say, oh, I love to just hear the food growing, I mean, this is what we need to do. We need to really turn America around. And I know there's some very powerful star seeds like you, Amma, and well, Jane's abandoning the Titanic, but that's okay. I don't blame her. But who are going to anchor in and be an example to people as they find that this Fibonacci spiral is not chi. It's a death ray. It's a death force, and it's getting to the point where. And people are paying a lot of money for things to fix them. When I went to these psychic fairs and stuff, everyone was buying up, anti, heal yourself gadgets, which is so silly because the cure is right there.
Yeah,
the land,
sure.
the earth.
Yeah.
What say you? You know what? We got to take just a short break. All right. Be right back. And welcome back. Okay, welcome back to the Infinite Human Talk Show. I'm Elizabeth Monroy. I'm your host, and I am with Jane Evershed and Amma Soul, and we're talking about how you can be the change, how we can take back the planet as the guardians. We are not the guardians. We're not, the owners of the planet, because the planet, our mother Earth, is a consciousness. But how can we best serve her as the guardians of protecting her and her creatures and the life force that she brings to us? Amma, you were going to give us Alma's doing it, so she's our expert here.
Well, nature is abundant. You were discussing about giving your energy to things outside of yourself, and so often I have people that come that recognize things like the medical system and stuff are broken. They're still very entrenched in the medical model, but it's like our nature is abundant in wild growing edibles and medicinals, like everything that we need, but it's this wisdom that's been lost. So I do a lot of wild foraging and compounding and different things with things that grow here on this land. I didn't have this awareness. I grew up in Florida and in a city, but now that I'm on this land, it's like, oh my gosh, this weed that I've been trying to get rid of is actually something that's beneficial, and now it's like growing all around. And so I harvest it every year. And when people come, I make herbal teas, wild crafted teas, and allow them, because the things that are growing in our area, they tend to have a lot more power and potency. And I believe that's what we really need.
Yes, I can identify with that because I was not. I think it's called granolis. Granolis, like my idea of camping was like, Peter had this like triple slide out, RV with surround sound and everything. And, because I was a doctor's wife. I'll be honest, I come from that. That was how I was raised, my mother was very, kind of from Virginia, but, like, ooh, icky, don't get jammed, wash your hands right away if you get something on it. Prissy, I guess is the word, or just, I wanted to be comfortable, and guys, this is such a trap. I just want to tell you, it's such a trap. Now it's a deathly trap because we need to bio-cync. That's how we're going to ascend, because we have this the Nomi wave, or whatever, this wave of ascension in the center of our earth that's expanding it and ascending it. We have this whole river of a Krystal River Host that's coming, crashing into our planet. We have the sun, these amazing codes that are coming through our suns, alignments of our central suns and suns activating us. We have the water that's carrying this very high DNA blueprint. So the more we're with this, it's not just healing us, but it is ascending us. And I go swimming almost every day in these volcanic springs that are just around the corner because, and when I do, and also Bacalar in the Yucatan, when I swim in that water, it has this divine blueprint, and I just feel so tired afterwards. But it's regenerating, restoring my divine blueprint. So the key is simplicity, I think. Get simple, get small, get simple again.
And get smart. Do your homework. There's such a thing as, it's called primary water. I call it primal water. And it's in the earth's mantle. And there's more sweet water in there than there is all the salt water in the ocean. but we never get told about it. So there's that water source that is full of minerals and the most beautiful, they call it unborn water. We should be filling our bodies with that. But because we've been brainwashed to think of this condensation cycle and only drink surface water, we never go down there and get that water. In the same way, metaphorically speaking, we don't take the time to think about how did we get here. We don't say, I'm going to study my galactic history. We don't do any of that. You know, I spent some time researching the Renaissance and cave art in France. And from both of those searches, it revealed to me a pattern, the pattern of how they control us through art. And specifically during the Renaissance, that's when they started burning all the books, burning all the true people who held the Krystic codes within them, destroying all the
throw some books on those people.
Going around the world, destroying the indigenous peoples, and then completely discarding anything to do with the nurturing mother archetype. And when they did that, they moved forward with only a patriarchal academia style of learning that's been going on now for 500 years. We've been ingrained into a pathway that only serves materialism and materialists. That's when the industrial revolutions came in, after they destroyed the conscious Cathars and the truly Krystic people. Mary Magdalene was one of them. That's why they put it out there that she was the whore of Babylon. And the brainwashing level is so high that we've never written our own history, the true history. So what we're finding out now with Tartaria and everything else, Tartaria didn't even have roads or airstrips because they used to travel through time portals and stargates. And we had all of that technology. It's the original technology. In fact, I'm going to go as far as to say that the Tartarians were ascended beings, and they never ate, and they didn't have much need for sleep because their bodies were crystalline in their makeup. And when they fiddled and farted around with our DNA, they made us hungry. How much time in our day is spent getting food, buying food, cooking food, cleaning up after you've eaten? Those Tartarian, those old buildings, they never had bathrooms and toilets. They never had anything like that because nobody, quite frankly, was taking a dump. So they had this exquisite life of creative existence. It was 100% creative, keyword, existence. And that's what we need to be getting back to. So if we work on ourselves spiritually and mentally and rip ourselves out of this invader paradigm, we will eventually get there. And I believe our crystalline bodies will return with ascension.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you so much for that, Jane. And we've been discussing that in great detail with Eon Parks. In fact, we have one more in the series that I've had to push back, which we will have, where he goes into great detail about this. And, again, he talks about Back to the Future, but I think we're actually, because I believe Tartarian architecture is from Tara, Tartarian. And so but I do think we're going even further. We're not going like just back to the future, but we've learned so much. And, it's all taking place in the now moment, because there is no time really. So now, and it's really such a simple shift in consciousness, in perception. And I gave you the idea of looking into the black mirror or sitting under a tree, and communicating with the tree. I too have been brainwashed, but I'm changing, and I'm realizing the more time I spend in nature, first of all, I feel so much better, and then I begin to tap into that consciousness of what the land, for example, the tree wants me to do, the intelligence of learning which herbs are healing us, what foods, we we need to take. And I think there is a relationship, even though right now we're not breatharians, but we're on that path. But where we're at in the now is shifting that. And I just want to say, I saw this silly thing on Facebook of this machine. They made this robot. I'm sure it was not real, but that was like, harvesting food and doing all the manual labor of a farm. But there's something sacred about that, of our relationship with that. So it's not, we've seen it as just work, menial labor. And we've been, it's just the mentality of seeing people that work on the land, people that live on the land, the farmers, the are lowly, and the people, that live in the palaces and that have technology are above us. But that technology is causing you to focus on this finite internet, finite net that encapsulates your consciousness, rather than, and I call it, tuning into the infinite intelligence consciousness that is alive around us in the ethers, in the air, in the trees, in the, we're learning, we can tune into that and it will teach us. And that's infinite, not finite. So we need to start, it's tuning ourselves more into that. And it might be hard at first. Like you said, sitting in front of a brook was just, okay, well, I need to do something, and like in Italy, I joke because, you make a to-do list, nothing happens, maybe a couple years, you might get one checked off, which was really good for me. And it's something here we call dolce far niente. It means it's beautiful, it's sweet to do nothing. And I think more Americans need to embrace this of clearing themselves out, turning everything off, and just sitting. If it's a meditation at first, fine. Just go into the void, no thought, no sound, no nothing, the void. Or just be out in nature and just try to start tearing down those membranes, those walls that are separating you from the cosmic Wi-Fi, as David Icke calls it, the cosmic Wi-Fi, the infinite intelligence that's all around us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's just Americans, though, because worldwide, this industrial world has exported itself all over the world.
Exactly. So. Yeah, and that's the problem. I see it now coming into Italy. They're starting to do commercials. They never did. They used to do commercials about food, like the old days in America, but now they're doing commercials about pharmaceuticals. And I mean, it's, created in America and then exported. So that's why I think America's going to be the most powerful, because they're going to turn it around. It might take some time. And it's hard to do it in America because everyone's so busy doing nothing all around you. And when you're just sitting there, like, you might feel, but it's so much power, isn't it? In that still point of just in it, but not of it. And I think that's the first step for all of us in the modern world. Detach. Not, you don't have to do something. You have to just not do something. Stop.
Just be.
Be. Yeah. Infinite human being. That's what. So, okay, so we're getting close to our time here, but, I just wanted to talk a little bit on grid work, because I know you do it, Alma, and I do it just intuitively. Do you want to share about what that is and how important it is? I think everyone at some level does it, whether they're aware of it or not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm diligent about running my shield every day. I want to be coming from that place of 11th and 12th dimensional frequency. So I start my day with the heart shield, my heart seal. And so as I'm going out, as I shared, my intention is always just to be love. And that's grid work, every interaction that we have with every person, everywhere we're going. If I go into a store, I'm blessing the people, I'm blessing the food, I'm just like sparkling love everywhere I go,
It's so
and yes,
powerful.
be more intentional during the scandemic. I was guided to go out to places on the land with a sister, and I brought crystals and we set up grids and we, I speak Anahazi, so we speak our sacred language, and
Wonderful.
that's clearing and transmuting and releasing a lot of discordant energies and different things as well. But not everybody feels that calling. However, on a day-to-day basis, we can all show up as grid workers, and it all is about like, how are we showing up in our day-to-day life, so.
I'd love to hear that language. Can you speak an Anahazi blessing for everyone?
Oh. Eke te o shuaya, no koro mukaya te ai, shumuaya te o shua, ai te a te awai, no komoate, ai amiete ai, no koate ai, ai ke atua.
Wow. Now, is that kind of, because it's so much part of you, it seems more like it's been remembered than learnned.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love it. I'm remembering it too. I listen to the Psalms as much as I can. And just for you, how did that feel, Jane, hearing that for you?
Wow. I mean, I could feel the love coming through on every word, every cadence of the language came through, And I remember growing up in South Africa, comparing the language of the people who lived on the earth, the Zulus. Sabona, Sapila, Gunjani, Lungili, like a sing song. And then I remember the Afrikaans, which is derived from the Germans, Dutch, English, French combination. And it would be like, ons sal vandag na die strand toe gaan. And the difference, I could hear it as a child, and I resonated way more with the Zulu people than I did with the Afrikaans at the time, because I could just hear it. The people who live on the land, and then the people who are taking over the world. We were like the white implant foot put into South Africa to help take it over and cause problems, so that behind the scenes they could keep taking out the gold and the diamonds. But when you hear that love in a tribe that is of the earth, you cannot not hear it, as I heard Amma right now.
Thank you.
And it, activates you. It's the first spoken language.
Yes.
And it's Krystic Tribes, and the sounds activate you and the grids of the earth. And so
absolutely.
It's really a very powerful language. And, I just have felt, and I do it my own way. I run the Krystala Spirals all over the planet. And whenever I do, I have to leave town, pretty soon. First of all, I get really attacked when I go in. And so I just want to say, if you want to be a grid worker, be careful what you ask for, because it's not always easy. And then when I leave, it's like, the energies, because it's like you really stirred things up. And I remember when I was in Tulum, I did a lot of Krystala Spirals all over. And one day I was driving there, and it looked like atomic bomb went off, and it's like something caught fire in the very center, and it was blowing up. And it was towards the time I was leaving, and I was like, okay, got to get out, because it's going to shift everything. It will shift wherever you have been. It reconnects, but of course it's like a healing crisis. So everything, expels. But I think it's something that we all are remembering. Actually, all this stuff, we really don't have to learn it. We just have to detach and go inward and remember, because we are the guardians of this planet. We know we know how to take care of her, and she knows how to take care of us. And that's the sacred bond that we are restoring. We just have to restore it.
Yeah. I think it's also beautiful. I had an experience where I woke up. I was in dream state, but I don't generally remember my dreams. But I heard, you are a frequency key holder for the Ark of the Covenant, and there are more. And the harmonics of the frequency that's created when you come together holds the key to all of creation. So coming together in harmony amplifies the frequency. And that's why I've been shown visions of that sacred site out there, 12 of us coming together, sitting in a rainbow round table, toning, singing these sacred songs. And I was like open this the Stargate,
Yeah,
this portal
yes.
here.
Yes,
Sure.
and that's coming. More to come. We're going to talk about this because we are supposed to come together, and we are key holders. We hold codes, and
Yes.
boy, that's gonna, and that's what they've been trying to keep us apart, kill us, as like you said with the vaccines. There is a vaccine actually called Star Killer, Astraka, and but it hadn't happened. It hadn't worked, and we are coming together. So. Stay tuned. More to come. Oh, my batteries are running down too. Gosh. So, any closing words? Let's kind of do this because I just realized we're running short here. Jane?
The closing words for me, I would say go and research the Fibonacci and the Krystal Spiral, because a lot of people don't know what they are. And then they can inform themselves that everything that the earth is based on has been a false light way of, it's still sacred geometry, but it draws in and it takes from everything. The Krystala Spiral expands and gives and creates and is abundance. So a lot of people, I think, would be wondering what that difference is, between those two, because the Fibonacci is so beautiful. So I ought to go and have a
destroys what it does not keep what came before it, so it parasites off. It destroys that which was before it.
And this is the model that we've been living in. So if we want abundance, we need to follow the Krystala Spiral sacred geometry and incorporate it into our lives. And then I wanted to say that I have videos on the Renaissance and the French cave art and all of that on my channel on YouTube, which is called Splat. So if anybody wants to go into any more details about that, and that's where all my videos.
A wonderful book called Splat, which I recommend. I'm reading it. I love it. It's just very, very powerful, book. Just beautiful.
And I wanted to just say that's where all the videos I have of my talks with Sasha Stone are, and those are all there if you want any more in-depth, because when three of us speak and go from subject to subject, we don't get enough depth. And I'm hoping Amma has something where we can go and look and see in depth what she's doing too.
Everything we've talked about is on the Infinite Human Talk Show. Especially, we had a wonderful session on the Krystala Spiral, going into great detail, and it's developmental. So if you're missing out on something, you can go earlier, or you can get my book, The Infinite Human, because I don't talk about anything on the show that's not in The Infinite Human, which is to connect the dots, because it's hard just to connect everything on videos. And so. Amma, what about you? Can we get some closing thoughts from you?
I'd say my invitation is to just recognize, the truth that is within, and stop seeking outside of yourself for the answers. I just want to invite people to take time in nature, to love our Mother Earth, to come back to basics like we shared. And you can find me on Facebook. I post a lot of uplifting, funny, cute, loving videos of me with my animals.
And it's under your name?
It's under Amma Soul. And then I also have a Blue Heart Sanctuary. And then I also have the two websites, blueheartsanctuary.org and soulgaia.org.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm going to cut this short a little bit because my battery's and sunshine and everything, but God, what great souls you are! Such wisdom, such beautiful sacred energy. I just feel like it's just so nice to give a voice to this expression, and it's amazing that we're able to come together and talk. I know in many other lifetimes we guys were all we didn't get a chance to talk. We were like stark up together or on fire. I don't know if you remember that, but I do. We were all like burning, like, hey, yeah, well, next time. And this time we finally get, to put a voice without, Okay, so thank you, Jane, again, and Amma, and I do hope we'll have you guys back. Well, Jane's going to be back really soon. We're going to be talking about the divine feminine, the divine masculine with Dave Emery next week, and I'm going to bring you back whether you like it or not. I'm going to come and shove a microphone in your face. What I like to do is find people that I feel like I really resonate with and have a high, connection, and have wise words to share. And so I definitely feel like you guys are part of the family, part of the panel, whatever you want to call, experts to call on, the new voices. So,
Thank you. I'm
okay.
grateful.
All right, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Love
Thank you so much.
Bye.
It's 1:44.